Now, if you saw this is the specter of socialism haunts U.S. Congress, and I posted this on Twitter with the snippet. I can't see it from here, but if you could read maybe the first two paragraphs or blow it up, and I can read it.
I can present. Just tell me when you want me to stop.
Yeah.
All right. A specter is haunting Congress. The specter is socialism. Last week, as the U.S. Congress discussed approving billions of dollars more in weapons for the war against Russia and began negotiating cuts to social programs in advance of the debt ceiling expiration, Richard Wolff, he was on Democracy Now! I think 6 days ago. It was one of the segments I cut because I didn't get a chance to do it. He explained, bro, they do this shit every few years where they had a debt ceiling. It's pretty much theater. They already know what they're gonna do. It's literally a show just so people think that government can't do shit. You know what I mean? But anyway, I still might cover the segment. It's an older segment, but it still holds up pretty well.
It's still relevant though.
Yeah, Richard Wolff he does his breakdown every time because I've seen him do it multiple times. Every single time there's a debt ceiling showdown, he explains like, dude, guys, this is bullshit. This is not. They are literally covering wool over your head with this shit. But anyway, let me continue the article. The House spent 3 days discussing and adopting a resolution denouncing socialism, which Hakeem Jeffries and Jamal. I think it was Ro Khanna, not Jamal Bowman.
Ro Khanna, yeah.
Ro Khanna
and voted. Ruben Galloway.
Yeah. In pledging to reverse all the social gains made by the working class on a global scale in the century since the Russian Revolution of 1917, the media presents the passage of the resolution as nothing more than a propaganda ploy by the far-right Republicans. But it is much more than that. By dedicating a substantial portion of its legislative agenda to a condemnation of socialism, the United States Congress expresses the fear within the ruling class that a powerful socialist movement will take root in the working class and orient the emerging wave of strikes and social struggles in a revolutionary direction. And now that paragraph just rolls off the tongue because it's exactly what I was saying too. This is a great article thus far.
Yeah, I mean, just there, and we can pause there. I mean, you can read more, but that's the parts that I wanted you. And that last sentence is the part that I want to kind of focus on, because if you think about it, it was bipartisan. So this is a bipartisan show, and who is commanding these people, Nick, that voted? Isn't that the ruling class? Aren't they the ones donating money? Now think, all these important issues, but they need to project about socialism because, like we were saying in another segment, they're spying on us. They know the conversations we're having. They know what we're writing about in our DMs. They know all the people that are opening up TikTok accounts talking about socialism. They know all of what's happening, and they're definitely afraid of a socialist sort of movement. And I did a segment. I think this is when you left. I can't bring it up. Stephen A. did brought on Sean Hannity.
I saw. Oh, like Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that right there. But there is a fear among the ruling class, and Sean Hannity approved it. He was like, "There's too many people who want socialism in this country." That was the very first line of that case study QB video. So it's speaking to the ruling class being deathly afraid, Nick, of socialism and a socialist movement happening. And that's why I think it's so important we push forward with things like with Shama Sawan is doing and everything outside of the duopoly. Go ahead, you were going to chime in.
No, perfectly said, CJ. I'm going to read this passage. I was skimming it while you were going. I think this is a good part because they explain with the resolution. They're like, oh my God, look at this part where the resolution begins. It says socialist ideology necessitates a concentration of power that has time and time again collapsed into communist regimes, totalitarian rule, and brutal dictatorships. said the state that imprisons 1/4 of the world's prison population. Like there's been studies that show that the American people have no say over a policy, which is essentially how resources are allocated, as what policy is. How much you spend on defense, how much you spend on policing, how much you spend on healthcare. In Missouri, to give you an example how capitalism is the ultimate dictatorship, we had a ballot initiative where we voted for a Medicare expansion, and the capitalists in our government, our governor vetoed it. So you see how, according to the capitalists, they don't want the workers to have no means and no control over the means of production. And then they say, You got socialism that failed over and over again. If socialism is such a failed system as you guys claim it is, why can't you guys leave it alone?
Leave it
Socialism has
alone.
never failed. It's been sanctioned to death. It's been attacked. It's been cool from the inside. There's never been an example of a socialist Marxist framework organization in society that has failed without the intervention of the United States. In fact, Cuba had an embargo on it where it lost hundreds of billions of dollars, but it still has a higher life expectancy than we do, better education than we do, better healthcare system than we do, despite not having billions of dollars, despite the embargo. That's a thriving system. Meanwhile, in the United States, we are the richest society that ever existed, the most millionaires, the most billionaires, but lower life expectancy rates, horrible education system, literally people dying, massive depression to the point where you got people taking pills so they don't blow their fucking brains out. You got the richest country in the world, tons of people in poverty. That is a failed system. So this is the last part I'll read, and probably the last part I'll bring up on this segment, because this is a great reaction to that talking point. They continue, they say the reality is that a capitalist system is responsible for deaths and social suffering on a mass scale. The 20th century alone saw 2 imperialist world wars resulting in the deaths of 20 to 60 million people each, a Holocaust in which 10 million was exterminated, the imperialist wars in Korea, Vietnam, Algeria, Angola, Iraq, Kosovo, Afghanistan, Libya, Syria, and elsewhere left millions more dead. The capitalist system is responsible for deaths of 20 million people due to the COVID pandemic, and also half of them would have been saved if we had universal health care, studies have shown. Hundreds of millions face the real threat of starvation every day. On top of this, billions of lives are at risk due to U.S.-led escalation of war against nuclear-armed Russia. But tell me more about how socialism has failed, right? Like, if you look at all the deaths the capitalism caused, the death of communism, the death toll of communism pales in comparison, going on the same logic, right?